They're gonna say that.
Good morning, 1 million cups. How's everybody doing today?
I don't know.
Can we hear me okay?
Just say no.
Yes? All right. Let me grab this handy dandy paper and let's get this party started. Who's ready to party? All right. So, I got all that right there. Mic etiquette. Let's turn off our phones, make sure we're not loud and all that stuff because we don't want to interrupt Samantha, who's going to be doing a presentation today.
Very distractible.
Let's see here. So, I am Flip. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate your time and attention. So 1 Million Cups is put on by the Kauffman Foundation. You see their name down there. And the whole point of this is to get entrepreneurs together on Wednesday mornings to share in our journeys and stories while we share in drinking 1 million cups of coffee. I don't drink coffee, so I will join everybody with some tea. All right. So let's talk about our sponsors. And our coffee roaster is the one and only beautiful Kirsty Logan. Let's put our hands together for Kirsty.
Thank you. Hey guys, my name is Kirsty. I'm owner of the Sleepy Turtle Coffee Co., a mobile coffee shop here in Colorado Springs. All of my products are completely eco-friendly. They're all fair trade and organic and in complete compostable materials, so they will dissolve in the rain. If you have any questions, just let me know.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Kirsty. And now our coffee sponsor is Kenneth Cornelius with Pinnacle Agency, and let's hear what he's got to tell us. What's going on? How are you?
Thanks. Again, I'm Kenneth Cornelius. I'm with Pinnacle Elite, not Pinnacle Agency. We had to rebrand a while back. I am a full-service financial professional. I teach the 95%, but the 5% pay thousands of dollars to learn. We did yesterday. We had a very good financial literacy course with a decent turnout here at the Next Us. May see about doing it again here in the future soon. You know, again, on financial literacy, also Flip failed to mention it, but if you have the app, check in, please.
Okay. All right, thank you for that reminder. So, do we have anybody here from our coffee cup sponsor, which is the SBDC or the BBB? Anybody? Well, let's put our hands together for them anyway. And usually we do our community announcements in between presenters, but we only have one presenter today, so we are going to start it off by kicking it off with the community announcement. So if you have any community announcements, please let's form a line over here and let our community know about all the amazing things that are going on.
No, you go ahead. Yeah, we'll jump in. We can have one.
No, you go. James Wicker, Evergood Adventure Wines. I'm also a community organizer for Spring Startup. And pitch night this month is going to be on a different week, so I want to make sure you know that. It's going to be actually the second Thursday this month. It's usually the third Thursday, but we're partnering with UCCS. Some students will be presenting. It's going to be a really neat event. It's at Exponential Impact on North Nevada, and that's going to be from 4 to 7, and there'll be refreshments provided for that event.
They do pitch night every month?
Yeah, they do pitch night every month on the third Thursday of every month at Exponential Impact.
March or May is the 12th?
The 12th.
Yeah, May is the 12th. Yeah, it's just an odd month because we're partnering with UCCS on a project, and a bunch of students will be presenting that night.
Sweet.
Yep.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, Gio Pensino. Tonight there's a very amazing event going on at the Pinery, and for fellow coaches and consultants that are interested in working in the corporate environment, there's an event put on by, I think it's called the Association for Professional Development, and it's at the Pinery. It starts around 5 o'clock, and they have a series of speakers, and the one speaker that I'm most enthused about is Rob Dublin. He and his wife are fellow graduates from the Tony Robbins program, and he and his wife were able to kind of apply what they learned from that program and retire at the age of 40 and spend the next 15 years sailing around the world. And so they're going to be kind of telling their story, and there's going to be a few other speakers. It's a pretty happening event, like I said, for anybody who is a coach or a corporate consultant or interested to learn more about how to get into those circles.
Thanks, Joe. I'm Greg Sheldon. And tonight, first off, is anybody here in like bartering or trading their services? Anyone? Anyone? A couple of you guys? So tonight at the Tejon Eatery, we have an orientation for the time banking system, which is if I give you an hour of my time, I can bank that time and then find somebody else who has an offer of something that I need and utilize an hour of their time. So no money is exchanged, and it simply just goes, we have a community of people who we just trade time with, right? So tonight from 4 to 6 p.m. at Tejon Eatery at the upstairs, they have a little meeting room in the back.
And yes, I'm back. April is Financial Literacy Month, so this is your PSA for that. How many people here love their kids, grandkids, nieces, and nephews? How many people here have set up a $1 million baby for their kids, grandkids, or nieces and nephews? If you don't know what it is, go online and Google it or come talk to me.
My name's Jacob Hacker. I'm kind of like a fitness professional, strength and conditioning coach, but I work at Altitude Ninja Gym. It's off of exit 146 next to Caliber Collision. We got some really cool stuff going on this summer, so just putting it on the calendar for you. We've got Adventure Week, June 13th through the 17th. This is for like kids and stuff. We're going to share our hobbies like mountain biking, rock climbing, stuff like that with the community. And then June 27th to July 1st, we've got a professional ninja. His name's Lauren Ball. He'll be coming down doing a week-long camp clinic. And then for teens and adults, we've got a couple of dates as well. So Tuesday, June 28th, Thursday, June 30th at 6:30 to 8:30. This one's for adults and teens. So if you ever feel like getting into it or want some professional advice, he's a really cool guy. And then I also teach an OCR class on Monday nights at 6:45. So if you're OCR is obstacle course racing. Thank you, Flip. Yes. So if you want to get into like a Spartan race that's coming up in June or anything else, Tough Mudder is another one. I teach a class on Monday nights, 6:45. First one is free. If you want to do it, you can do a month-long class, but it's really fun.
Happy Hump Day, everybody. So mark your calendars for May 3rd, which is next Tuesday, at noon at Epiphany, which is downtown. We will have Stress, the Necessary, Not So Evil, Mastering Stress in 2022. This is brought to you by the Colorado Springs Rising Professionals Leadership Development Committee. So come and see us. If you have questions, holler at me. Thank you.
My name is Paula Levy, and I have my caregiver consulting business. And I've got 2 workshops coming up. They're 5 consecutive Tuesdays, 5 consecutive Thursdays in May, and they're 90-minute sessions, all things dementia. We take you through what dementia is, what it isn't, how you work with your person who's living with dementia through their senses, how to take care of yourself as a caregiver, and how to learn some techniques on how to approach the person and what their world is like, literally feeling like what their world is like and what they're seeing and hearing and how to approach them better. And if you want more information, please see me.
All right, I've got some community announcements too. So the next Nerd Night will be at Kawadi on May 18th, and we will have somebody in this room. James Weaker is going to be telling us about all the different types of camping, from dispersed camping to glamping, right? We are also going to have Elena. I don't even know how to say her last name. It's a really long one, very Eastern European Russian sounding. But she is a UCCS professor, and she's going to be telling us about deception. And that's what she teaches at UCCS. And we are still looking for one more presenter first. So if you are interested in presenting at Nerd Night on May 18th, please come talk to me. We also have memoirs. The next memoirs will be May 23rd at Kinship Landing. So put that in your calendars that it won't be at 3E's this next month. It'll be at Kinship Landing. And we will have Mimi the Motivator right there sharing her story. And we also have Nicole Holtz, which I think is going to be presenting at 1 Million Cups here in a few weeks. So they will be there telling their stories. And of course we have Best of the West Wing Fest Tickets on sale. 1MCCOS is a discount code if you are part of 1 Million Cups. So we'd love to see you out there. So, just let that stay on the floor. All right.
So Flip and his wife Maritza were highlighted yesterday in the Gazette, was it?
Mhm.
Super cool. Try to check out that article. That was for
Memoirs.
memoirs. And then yesterday they were on the news for Nerd Night. So some media for
Things
them.
are happening.
For Caitlin. Super cool.
Thank you very much, Samantha. All right, so community announcements are done. We've silenced our cell phones. We've checked in if you can, if you have an Android, because the iPhone doesn't like to do that. And with that, what was Judy? Come tell us about the Next Us and this beautiful space that you let us use. Yeah. Look at this smile.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Next Us, and thank you for supporting entrepreneurs. That's our favorite thing to do here. And so we have opportunities for co-working, private offices, events, and just hourly bookings for any kind of professional use. We say any legal use, leave no trace, but make your mark. We always leave the next space ready for whoever else is going to make their dreams come true. So thanks for being here, guys, and enjoy the next presentation.
All right. So with that, we are transitioning into our presenter. Guys, girls, human beings. We have an amazing presenter today. Last time she presented was 2018, so I know she's full of fantastic information to update us on. And with that, let's put our hands together for our lead organizer, Samantha Sargent.
I'm definitely comforted by the friendly faces and everybody reminding me that you love me. So we all need that when we have to do things like this. So I am going to share basically my journey and then some of those update pieces since it has been so long and our crowd changes every week. So my whole life I've loved to work. It actually shows in my kids too. My daughter loves working. We're like, you know, it's in our blood. We like to be on time and do our jobs and just be amazing that way. My jobs have always, since I was pretty much, since I can remember, I wanted to be a mom. That was my job. So I made sure to interact, and at the age of 7, I was babysitting whoever would let me babysit their kid, even though they were just in the kitchen over there, you know. So I knew that I wanted to be a mom. So right out of high school, you know, super smart at 19, got married. So 19 got married, 21 had my first child, 23 had my second child. That first marriage lasted 7 years. I was single for 7 years, and I can tell you dating in your 30s is a terrible idea, but it happens. I've been remarried for 7 years now, so I've got the whole 777 thing happening this year. My credit score is 777 right now too, and one of the things. So I just need to go buy a lotto ticket. So that's my career always revolved around being a mom first, which is the most unpaid job on earth. So, and I was always okay with that, and I also have a 6-year-old now, so my husband and I, you know, married kids, we do things in clusters. So the older ones need just as much attention as the little guy. And I'm glad that I have the relationship I've always wanted with my older kids, and the little guy's coming up nicely too. So my jobs always revolved around that. My mom owned a health food store from 2000 to 2005. I worked for her. So I'd be at work about 10 hours a day, but it would be, you know, with the kid, working, pass off to grandma. She loved taking care of her while I was working. It was very cohesive there. I worked for the YMCA, Child Watch, could bring my own kids with me and still make an income. I kind of wrote down a few things, so I should bring my podium over here so I don't leave the good stuff out. Then actually, the largest part of my career, I worked at a martial arts school for 12 years. So when I first started, my daughter was 4 and my son was 2. So They were well behaved. I call them blanket trained. They sat on a blanket. If they got off, then I put them back. They usually stayed in their happy place. People would say, these are not real children. I don't know how you did that, but my whole day, I would do 5-hour shifts, so my whole day would revolve around giving them the attention they needed. Then while I was working, they did their thing. So after 12 years in the martial arts school, it was something I really had to get out of. So it took me about 3 years to leave that career. But what I realized during that career is that not only was I teaching martial arts and doing, you know, kind of every position. After 12 years in a small business, you do all the jobs. One of the things that I did naturally was the events and the communication. So anytime our school had about 150 students, and whenever we had an event, there was always 300 or so people there. In comparison to one of our other locations who had about 400 students, when they had an event, they would have about 100 people show up. And I contribute some of that to the communication and to just the festivities that we would add. It wasn't just, you know, come do what we said we were going to do. I was always elevated. So at about the 9-year mark in Taekwondo, I found doTERRA. It's a part of my business, but it's not my LLC. But it's what kind of got me out of the martial arts career and into helping people still. So when I made that transition, I knew that to sell my product, I needed to get into my cold market. So I knew I needed to have a vendor space at some events and things like that. So I was doing that, and then I would pay for the space, and then I would ask the coordinator, so how are you getting people here? Did you do an ad? Did you do some flyers? Did you do this, that? And they would always say no. So after a while, I figured out that what the coordinators were doing is they were filling the vendor spaces, and that's it. I was like, well, that's not how this is supposed to work. So I have a few friends that own retail spaces, and they're like, well, we have space. We would love more activity here. Why don't you create your own income? You gather the vendors and charge them a fee. Use that money for marketing and for your wages, and we'll support you with the space. And I was like, okay. So I did that for a few years. Found out that that is a very lonely job. It's all front end. Day of was fantastic. I always got lots of compliments. They're like, how are you not running around like a chicken with your head cut off? You're so calm. You're so helpful. Like, this is my time to shine. All my work is done. What happens today is going to happen. This is the fun time. So that was fun for a few years. And then, again, it was very lonely. So I decided, okay, well, there are other people doing vendor events. So now I have these skills, why don't I go help them elevate what they're doing? So I found that very fulfilling, much better to work with a team of people that were doing the same thing as me, but now there's always gaps to fill. So I could fill any of those gaps, which is really cool. So I did that for a few years, and then COVID hit, and everyone I was working with were like, we're going virtual, yeah, mobile. And I'm like, I'm out, no way. That didn't sound fun to me. I love people, and I love community, and I can connect with people online, but it's just, in an event, you need the energy of the room, the decorations, all the pieces that come together. So I kind of got out of it for a long time. And then actually about 6 weeks ago, all the events started popping in again. And luckily, people remembered me, and they called and said, can you take care of our vendors? Can you do this? Can you do this? Absolutely. I didn't step completely out of it either, because Flip and Maritza hired me to do their greeting for some of their events. So I still had a little foot in the door and some presence visually. But yeah, so the vendor stuff has really popped in again. And so I'm working with multiple teams. Super fun, super dynamic. I have no idea what the time is. Is anyone even keeping track of time? But I feel super, nobody is? Okay, so I'm at 10 minutes. I'm totally good. Which is great for me.
40 minutes.
Right. But I do feel like that kind of wraps it up for my entrepreneurial journey and kind of what I'm doing, and lots of opportunity for some Q&A. So I'll let that be my 6 minutes. Thank you guys for being here.
Now we got 20 minutes. Ask Samantha all the questions. And go.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Gio.
So I love hearing your backstory, Samantha. I know you a little bit from 1 Million Cups and talking and all this, but I love hearing your backstory. It's super inspiring, and
Thank you.
I want to say thank you for your service as a mom.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that service, as you kind of alluded to a little bit, is highly not appreciated at the level continuation of our species. Right? It's not like a minor thing.
Right,
It's not like
right.
a small thing. I don't know if I said that quite right, but anyways, I just value it. And what I heard in your story was that it sounds like it's like a natural gift for you. The way you mentioned how it was like from such a young age and all this. And I looked at your website a little bit before I came, and so my question to you is, you do a lot of different things, and I'm just kind of curious whether there's part of you that might be interested in serving that community that is kind of very, like I said, undervalued, underserved, but it's an enormous community with great needs.
It's a good question. I'm glad you looked at the website. That is why we send out the emails, so you can come up with some questions or just get intrigued. And credit to my mom, for sure. She's always helped. My whole family lives here. I have 2 brothers that live here, one that lives really far away, but all the cousins, mom, dad, all here. So I couldn't have amazing kids without all of that too. So I do a lot serving the family. So
The moms in particular.
okay. I do try to do that through my friendships, through some of my passion projects, the social impact of the event space. So one of my favorite coordinators, because of COVID, moved back to Texas. So her focus was family events, focusing on science, technology, engineering, art, and math. So I would always be a part of her events, and when she moved, I, again, didn't want to create an event from the ground up. So about a year ago, Anita came on with the soccer house, and so she is doing family events at the soccer house again. So I'm keeping my radar up for that. I also am in the holistic world, so I help with Sarah Beth Grant, owns Holistic Wellness Society, so I'm helping her with her thing. So I kind of can't pick. Everybody says, oh, you can't, I'm so terrible with quotes, you can't
Be everything to everybody.
Yeah, you can't do everything. I don't know. I should have wrote it down, but sometimes I say to people, why not? Like, I can't do everything. Who says? Why not? And so maybe I'm wrong, and we'll see that. But in the meantime, I'm having fun, and I enjoy the diversity. But I definitely, maybe Coral can say, I think my impact comes kind of in that one-on-one space when I'm with friends and people that kind of know what I do. Also in the jiu-jitsu world, helping kids with their coordination. And I don't know if that really answers your question or not. But
Well enough, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Amy?
I heard a lot, and I think that's a perfect segue into what my question is, because I was thinking, I heard so much, I'm not really sure what it is that you do or
Yes.
what it is that you're actually available for. So it's not that you can't be great at all these
Right,
things, because
right.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't tell me I can't do it all.
Right.
But what we do have to decide is, what is the one thing that we want to be known for?
Yes.
So what is the one thing that you want Samantha Sargent to be known for?
Right. And that's a tricky question for this group because I do sell a couple of MLM products. So in the, I guess in the networking world, I do want to be known as Samantha Sargent, doTERRA Wellness Advocate. I have a really impactful story with essential oils that I was not a part of this journey today. But my Connecting Communities is my LLC, and my business is events. So it kind of depends on who I'm talking to also. So that's part of my struggle, which I have so many of those. I still have time for the paddle question too, but I'll address this one now. Is that sometimes I meet someone and I know the need that they have, and I know the silo that I have for that need, and I introduce them to that. And my title is Samantha Sargent, the guide by your side, or that's my tagline. So I guide them to that. And then one of two things happens. Either they find out later that I do all these other things and they're mad at me that I didn't introduce myself as this and then bombard them with all the other things that I do. Or some of you may have heard other people say this before too. Oh, you do this and this and this. You must not be very serious about your business, so I don't want to, figure out the one thing you're going to do, and then I'll support you. So The last 2 years has really been for me balancing that and standing confidently in who I am and what I'm doing. And if you want to reject me, cool, you go over there. And if you see my value, then you'll continue to elevate with me in that path. Does that answer that?
So you want to be known for essential oils?
Yes, that is my main career.
Okay.
So every event that I do, my doTERRA team is in the event. That's part of why I do what I do, because I was boothing for doTERRA, but then I was also helping them get people there, and it was too much. So once my doTERRA team grew, I'm in the events, my doTERRA team gets the space, and my team grows through them. James?
Have you thought, I hear in your story a heart for service, and especially for people in the event space.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like it can be kind of lonely on the front end before the event. Have you thought about becoming like a resource center, like maybe putting an online portal together or some kind of area where people in that event space could meet, get resources, whether it's legal documents, all the things that go into events? Have you thought about maybe scaling up your expertise in that way?
I have, and people will ask me for resources, and sometimes I'll give them to them for free, and sometimes I charge for them, so that's kind of, I always want to help people, like, oh, you need these skills, I have them, here they are, because I can't be everywhere, I do know that, I can't be everywhere, but I can do everything, maybe it's something like that. I did consider doing an event magazine, and so played that out with a group that was interested as well. If you know the Colorado Springs event space, probably every single day there's like 10 big events going on in Colorado Springs. So to even just list them, a website would be a great place, and I try to do that on mine. Anything I'm involved in, my website has that on there. So I do have 2 websites. I have connectingcommunities719.com, which is all the event space, and then SamanthaSargent.org is my personal branding. That is more the products that I sell, the services that I provide outside of events. So the events I kind of call my social impact, and the SamanthaSargent.org is my personal branding, who I am, what I do, how I do it. When you work with me, here's what you'll find, sort of thing. So sometimes I do have all the ideas and I want to do all the things, but then it's actually a conversation I was having yesterday with someone is, I've tried many times to put together a sales book. I've hired people to help me put together so that people can have like a menu of options to walk down that path with me, either for their business or for their personal, whatever they need, and it's never gotten finished. I've never been able to hire someone that can actually get it done, and I don't have the skills to get that done. So there's another one of my, I'm already pre-answering some questions there, so I think as time comes and my daughter graduates high school next month, so I tell her, she knows herself more at 19 than I feel like I knew myself at 19, and so I do still tease, when I grow up, I'm gonna be just like so-and-so or so-and-so, and people will say that to me too, so it's a compliment to, I have a childlike ability, but I'm still mature usually. So, Q.
Two-part question. Based on your experience with the community, what do you feel like we do right, and what do you feel like our community does that we need to do better, based on your experience?
Can you be specific? Which type of community? I feel like
Colorado
I'll be
Springs, because it's
judgmental
growing
here.
so fast. There's so much
Okay.
culture. I feel like I like it, but I know that you're more involved. There's so many events, and I'm still learning about what's going on. So I'm trying to be like boots on the ground.
Okay.
But based on your experience,
So you're
what would
saying
you say?
in the event world, what's going good and what's not going so good?
Mm-hmm.
I'll actually share something recent that I'm actually really happy about. So actually I've heard Judy and Flip talk quite a bit about this because Judy grew up here but didn't live here and then came back, and Flip lived in Florida and came here and stepped right into the event space too. So people coming from the outside are actually doing a lot of good for Colorado Springs. So we always give the comparison, Denver is transactional, and we are relational. in my opinion, we've gone so far relationally. I've literally had to grab people and tell them, I want to buy your stuff. You need to tell me how to do that. And so, it's okay to be transactional. It's not,
Building relationships.
yeah, while building relationships with the reputation that you want. We talked about that the other day in our group chat too. So what I like about the people that are moving to Colorado Springs in the event space is that they are complaining about the people that charge $600 for your booth for the day, and then 100 or 300 people come through in the day. And the locals, we're kind of used to that. And we're like, oh, that's how it is. And the outsiders are like, oh, heck no, this is not okay. And a lot of those coordinators are from out of state or out of town. So people come to Colorado Springs, oh, I'm gonna make a lot of money off. Colorado Springs does have a lot of money. We can be transactional, and we should be transactional with one another. Go to someone's event. Just do whatever you can to elevate whatever is already happening. And that's one of my, if someone says, hey, I wanna build this from the ground up, I'm like, just so you know, it's also happening here and here and here. Have you thought about just asking this person, hey, how can I get involved? How can I elevate what you're doing? And get a piece of the pie at the same time. So we can't keep the whole pie to ourselves. So that's why I love all the people that I work with too, because they're very community oriented as well. As they grow, they're like, I can't take care of these vendors anymore. They need attention, they need to be greeted, they need to be shown where their space is, they need to be invoiced properly, they need to, there's so much that happens before and after. They should get a thank you and a questionnaire. So I do all of that, and they know that, and so they're like, you take care of the vendors. And they're like, now I can focus on all of these other things and be the star of the show. So I always, when I do the nerd night and the memoirs, I'm pointing at Flip on purpose, don't move. I always let people know Flip and Maritza own the event. I do their greeting so you can meet them. If they were doing the greeting, they would be checking people in, and they don't get to socialize. So I can just be the happy face, welcoming them, letting them know what the agenda for the day is, and then they can actually be the star of the show. So that kind of answers another piece. So in the event space, I can handle, vendors is like my thing, and then also greeting and giving a guide for people when they come in, making them feel welcome, and saying goodbye to them as they leave too, because that's a big, important piece. If people don't feel welcomed right away, or that they're comfortable, and then when they leave, nobody cares, then that's, I care.
So I consider you one of my best friends, and I learned a lot about you today.
Cool.
And maybe it's the mother nature in you, but I love how detail-oriented you are with all the things, like, their flyers and setting events up. I don't know if any of you know this, but Samantha will time her bathroom breaks, her food breaks, and everything so that she can be there in the event. And maybe you can explain why that is so important to you, because you think about all these little things that I would never think about in having an event, but you do that, and I know that's your passion. But why? What is your favorite part about the event? Why do you do all that so that you can be present?
I love that question. Thank you. So we just did an Easter event at the soccer house, and it was a 4-hour event. So like Coral said, I made sure I went to the bathroom before, and then I went again afterwards. I did plan that. And I think as you were asking it, what came to my mind is that parents would come in and I'm greeting them and making sure they have an Easter bag or a basket. And some of the parents just were trying to check in and move on. And the little ones were talking to me. They're like, oh, I had a cookie for breakfast. And mom's like, shh, They wanted to talk to me, and that's why I was there, to greet them, to listen to them. The social interaction, I always talk to my kids as an adult, which baby talk is good, I've learned, but I'm not a baby talk person, so my kids have always appreciated that, and I think just being able to treat people the same, whether I know you or don't know you or like you or don't like you, I try to treat you the same way. But I like everyone, so. So yeah, thank you. I see, yeah, Paula.
So if you have to go to the bathroom between, do you allow yourself to do that, or you just hold it till the end?
I do, but I'm sure my physical therapy is on the line here. I'm in physical therapy right now for that, actually. So, yeah, I will go if I need to, but I've learned how to. TMI, I think.
Yeah.
I wear adult diapers. No, I'm just kidding.
I can hook you up with more if you need.
Okay, yeah, I can supply of that. So there'll be some door prizes for.
Busy
I
entrepreneur.
keep seeing hands go up and then I don't see who they are, and so go ahead if there's another question. You had your hand up a while ago. Sometimes people answer your questions.
Oh, I was pointing toward Cora.
Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, Kenneth.
What do you think your biggest challenge moving into the event planning, event coordinating space is, while still trying to run your other businesses?
I do feel like I live a charmed life. So challenges aren't as challenging when you have a husband that supports you and will literally do anything you ask him to do. I feel guilty sometimes. I'm like, are you ever gonna say no? I literally ask him that at least once a year. Would you say no to me if I asked you this? He's like, I don't know. So I think I guess the challenge, okay, let me get a little real here too. This is the entrepreneurial community. People don't want to share a piece of the pie. So for a long time, I did, for about 2 years in the event space, I did that for free. And that's when I was like, what am I doing? I cannot do this for free. Then I did it really, really cheap for a really long time. And so now when I have someone that says, hey, I want to do this event, and money's not the key, I'm not trying to make any money, and I'm like, then I don't want to work with you. If you don't want to make even $100, $200, you have to keep the lights on, feed your family, whatever, verbiage works for you. But if you're not in it to win it, money is not my focus. I am not in this world to only make money. Cool. But I do want to make money. Like, I do feel pride. Okay, another.
We live in a capitalist.
Yes.
system.
I will be. Honesty is the theme of the day. I've never made more than $23,000 my whole life. In a year, not my whole life. You get your Social Security statements. You see that. But I know the value that I had. So as a single mom, I lived off of $500 a month. If I can live off of $500 a month with 2 little ones, anyone can do anything with any amount of money. So if there's ever a challenge and someone's like, I only have this much money. Oh, cool, let's do this and this and this and this and this. So I opened the local chapter of Time Banks in November, which is more of a passion project. It's not an income-producing activity, but it goes along with the businesses that I do. And there is so much value in people's time that if people are willing to give and willing to receive back, then it goes back and forth. I had another point for that. He's telling me 1 minute. Does that mean 1 minute I need to ask him because Matt has a question? We have time for Matt's question?
You're the
Yeah, okay, yeah, I got the mic.
How big does a venue need to be to set up something like that? Some type of event where you bring in vendors and stuff after the show.
Right. Oh, your space is perfect for a vendor event. And I really work with people. So I got a couple projects that you'll see. So connectingcommunity719.com is all the events. And then just to see, yeah, anyways. I don't do, like I said, I don't create events from the ground up. Once I started doing vendor events, more than 40 in one space, it was unmanageable for me by myself. And so people were always like, you should grow, you should do this, you should do that. I'm like, do you have 5 employees to pay to give me? Because it's not working. And again, it wasn't fun for me. I don't want to do it by myself. So I'll always ask people, what's the theme of the event? It has to have a purpose. Like anyone can just gather a bunch of vendors to make a paycheck And that's why I stepped into what I was doing, and that's why people currently are getting mad at out-of-state coordinators coming in, because that's all that they're doing is they're collecting vendors and they're collecting their paycheck, and they don't even stay till the end of the event. If their event ends at Sunday at 6 o'clock, usually they leave about noon. And when pack-up starts, it is mayhem. And I would never, ever do that. So luckily there are a handful of coordinators here that from bell to bell, they are there, fully tuned in, supporting the people. So, but your space is perfect. So again, you just come up with something, and then we give it enough time, and then we roll. So yeah, Nico wanted to ask the super special question today, so go ahead.
Sweet. So what can we do as the Colorado Springs business community to help you grow? I'm going to add that because
Nice, thank you. I feel like I did answer it, so now I'm like, oh, what else can I say? But Coral actually did this the other day. She paid me a compliment. I'm learning. I actually don't like being, like, everybody looking at me. This is very uncomfortable. But when people pay me a compliment, it's really hard too. But I'm learning to accept that. So when she paid me a compliment, I said, you know what? Can you get on your phone right now and do a review on my website? I collect 5-star reviews only, so if you have So she did, right there, she picked up her phone. So if you have worked with me, or you have a compliment, or you know that I can bring value to somebody else, I would love for you to put that on there. The answer to this question is not supposed, connectingcommunities719.com is where I have a Google presence, SamanthaSargent.org. I just started that this year, so I don't even think it has a Google presence. But the event world is where people need to know what they can do, what can't they do. Because I also do like hourly, thank you. Flip knows my business pretty well. So consulting. So if someone's like, I don't really need any help, but I want to make sure I have all these pieces pinned in. So I'll just use this as a 1 million cups time two. The answer to this question is not supposed to be buy my stuff, or I guess I kind of broke my own rules. It shouldn't be go like my social media or any of that. The question is meant to show vulnerability and how we can get support, how this community can continue to support me now or later. So that's why I put the papers on the table. This is something I do want to create for 1 million cups, for every presenter to have something on the table, so that as they're speaking and you're thinking about a person you want to introduce them to, or you're thinking about something that you can share with them in the future, that you can write that down and then give it to them before you leave, or talk to them about it. So if anything came to mind, that's what those are for. So you know, we're all used to doing some one-on-ones, some very specific one-on-ones. Have you guys ever gone to a one-on-one and this person speaks for 45 minutes about their business, and they're like, oh, I have 5 minutes. What do you do? I gotta go. What? So if you want to give me your 45 minutes, then I'll take them for that one, but I would like it to be reciprocal. So let me know what you're coming to the table to share with me, why it would benefit your business and mine, or not at all. Oh, that's what I was going to say earlier with the time banks. Now it's my job to be a know-it-all so that I can connect people. And that's why Connecting Communities is my LLC. And there may not be a paycheck in each of those, but I tell people, I ask the loyalty for when you do this event that I love and that you're totally going to do someday, think of me. And so that's where it comes on the back end too. I'm a patient person, and I'm going to be here. I've lived here for 30 years, and my whole family lives here, so I have no intention of going anywhere else. So that was a really long answer. Thank you guys for not timing me, or you know.
So, I don't know how many of these you might have. It's in a box somewhere to give out. But this is your official coveted 1 Million Cups Presenters mug.
All right.
Thank you very much. All right, so do we have any first-timers here today? All right, so I want come over here, first-timer, since you're the only one, because
I wasn't ready for this.
We have 15 minutes, and we need to fill the time with something. So you win.
All right, let's do it. We're going to do it live.
All right. What is your name?
Drake.
Drake, what? How are you doing, Drake? So what is it that you do, Drake?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Okay.
I did real estate to begin with, and now I'm kind of getting into the e-commerce market.
Okay. So, do you have your own business?
Working on and getting it set up right now. In fact, I got my product because I use it every day. It's a leather journal, and I'm getting ready to sell it within the next 2 months on Etsy.
Okay. That sounds interesting. So, Drake here is brand new. We have, again, about 15 minutes. So, if there's somebody that you don't know in this room, we're going to use the next 15 minutes for you to go up to that person and just learn a little bit about them. What do we think? Yes? All right. So, 15 minutes starts in 3, 2, 1, go. Look for somebody you don't know and start talking to them.
I know, it's like,
I feel like I know you. Hey man, I don't really know you. I'm Nico. You're one of the coordinators as well?